Hello and welcome to the best of the Following the Nerd podcast, a compilation of all of the best bits from this week's radio show. To keep up to date with all of our top stories, go to www.followingthenerd.com and get in touch with us by sending us a tweet on Twitter @NerdFollowing and like us on Facebook.com/FollowingTheNerd. And now, with all the latest nerd news and reviews, here are your hosts, Marc and Saxon.
Oh yes, it's Thursday night, it's after 9 o'clock. It's so warm!
It's always a laugh.
We can't focus with this heat.
We're currently melting into actual puddles on the actual floor, where there will be actual puddles of us who have actually melted.
Actually.
It's so warm. Every day this week has just gotten warmer than the one before it.
It's brutal.
It's just so warm.
It is. You're a bit faded out there.
Sorry.
Twiddling dials. I've got you back now. I've got you back.
Oh, am I here? Hi.
Hi. We've got I think it might be a world exclusive tonight. We're going to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy live on the show at around about 10 o'clock tonight.
That's one to stay tuned for, listeners.
Yes, it is. We have, of course, the written review of it is on our site right now. If you go to followingthenerd.com, it's at the top of the page. It's good.
It's so good.
It's good. It's very good. It's
safe to say that we're hooked on a feeling.
We are hooked on a feeling.
And high on believing.
It's very, very good. So we've got that review. It's San Diego ComicCon this week, which is arguably the biggest thing.
I'd say this is pretty much the nerd event of the year.
Yeah, I would
where
say so.
Just there's so little stories, very little to talk about, and then, as is the kind of rule here at FTN, the second we take a break is when all the big stories drop. And none more so or bigger than the ones that are coming from San Diego ComicCon.
Yes, which happens this week. Now, the thing is, everybody they get a little excited early, don't they? Steady. And
happens to the best of us.
All the news comes out before the event. I mean, the last few days have been, frankly, crazy on followingthenerd.com. I mean, the amount of stories that we've had from Marvel, from DC, things like Arrow, Gotham, Iron Man 4, we'll talk a wee bit about that later on. And of course, Marvel have released their schedule now right up until 2018, is it?
2019?
2019?
I think it's in the late teens.
Yeah, so that's a lot of movies there. Kevin Feige, we joked a few months ago that this was this could almost be the Kevin Feige show. And it's going to be mental because he's done a lot of talking in the last couple of weeks.
We're considering doing a breakaway separate podcast from this entirely. Just FTN presents Kevin Feige. Because it's just there's so much Kevin Feige news. I'm guessing it's because of Guardians of the Galaxy. He's doing the whole press thing at the minute, and people are asking him, about what's coming up. What are we doing? Will we see old characters coming back? Will we see new characters? And of course, then Robert Downey Jr. was talking about Iron Man 4. Yesterday he kind of said, I'd be up for it. But we'll talk a wee bit more about that later on. Of course, we're going to have Stuart from the Monday movie show. He's going to be coming on later on, going through the UK top 10. We've got a lot of Arrow news. Arrow and The Flash. Have you watched The Flash? No.
Right, because the pilot
is online.
And it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. I don't know, come Halloween, I don't know what we're going to do, because Arrow's back, Flash is back, Gotham's starting, Sleepy Hollow's back.
We're just going to have no lives. We're going to be like, those people in WALL-E who just sit in a recliner and watch TV all day. That is how that happened.
That's the goal.
That's
Marvel
how
and DC have done
they
that.
They caused that.
Yeah.
The pieces are falling into place. This is what happens. So much good TV, especially with Netflix as well. You can box set whole series with Daredevil and all coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That is the downfall of the human race. We're just going to be sitting in front of a box 24 hours a day.
Talking about TV shows, I finished during the week Hannibal season 2.
Right.
Have you started watching Hannibal?
I haven't had the time.
Can I say, without a shadow of a doubt, the last episode of season 2 of Hannibal is possibly the best hour of TV I have ever seen.
Bold words, sir.
I have ever seen. It is so good.
Well, what makes it so good?
The whole series is built on a premise, and about 2 minutes into the last episode, it just flips it all around.
Okay.
It just totally turns it on its head. And you talk about cliffhangers. I mean, the cliffhanger is mental. When it ends, it's literally like, no!
Is it one of those just you gotta jump out of your seat, you've got to scream, but I need to know what happens next?
You need to know what happens next.
Wow.
You need to know, because I thought...
You can never have enough of those moments on TV shows.
Oh, and then what happened was they played the credits.
And then there was an after-credit scene.
After the credits.
Because I remember reading that in the TV guide.
That you will not see coming. You will not see coming. And it's just like... Ah! And it was honestly one of the best hours of TV I've ever seen.
I'm intrigued by this now. You need to tell me off air
but you might watch it.
What the story is. You know me, I don't care about spoilers.
Okay.
I'll probably have forgotten it by the time I get around to watching Hannibal in the year 2036. Before we go into what I'm guessing is our first track of the night,
yes,
I need to do a little shout out. Some of my friends over at the Facebook group Autism Rocks, if you guys want to check that out, Rocks, ROX, of course.
Oh yes.
Like War Machine Rocks. Autism Rocks, who have asked me to just give a little shout out and just ask you guys out there, if you can, just to donate a bit of money to your lupus or your autism or your cancer charity out there, your local branch, because not a lot of people know about lupus. They're trying to spread the word, trying to get some help, because it's a worthy cause. So if you have an extra couple of quid sitting around, donate it to lupus, autism, or cancer research. And the Facebook group is of course, Autism Rocks, ROX.
So it's facebook.com/Autism
Rocks.
Hi, I'm Laura Summer, the voice of Janine Melnitz on The Real Ghostbusters, and you're listening to Following the Nerd. I put the sexy in secretary. I know that doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to. Know why? Because I'm Janine frickin' Melnitz from Queens, New York.
Okay, right. Let's get into the nitty gritty of it.
Okay. Do you want to explain to our listeners what happened this week?
What happened this week?
The show notes.
Oh yes. Well, you see, the nitty gritty was that basically I spent the best part of the day putting together nearly 50 pages of show notes because we were away for 2 weeks.
That's a lot of show notes.
Yes, and
that must have taken a lot of time.
That
must have took us so much effort.
Shut your face.
Oh dear, it's just grueling hard work putting all those show notes together. I hope it paid off.
What a bunch of anyway. So and then I came in here and I hadn't printed off my notes and I left them on my desktop.
And you hadn't emailed them to me either.
No.
So we've got to do this Skrilla style. This is like the bad old days.
This is the no planning. You know, it's Monty Python. Anything could happen.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. I have no idea what's going to be on the show tonight. You've no idea what's going to be on the show tonight. The listeners have no idea what's going to be on the show tonight.
Whoop!
Let's get into this thing, man.
Right, okay, let's see. Where shall we start? Okay, Stan Lee has confirmed that he has a cameo in Age of Ultron.
And so he should.
But he also wants a cameo. Have you read this?
No.
He also wants a cameo.
I have no show notes.
Remember? It's been on the site.
I have no time.
He also wants a cameo in Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Okay. Okay.
You know what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He hasn't. That's DC.
I know.
Okay. Why does he want a cameo? Just because he's Stan Lee and he wants.
Stan Lee.
Think this is like Mallrats all over again. He's like, I want to be in a Ben Affleck movie again.
He quite tongue-in-cheek said that he thinks that it would help Batman vs Superman's box office take because the fans would be like, oh my god, is Stan Lee really in this? They would need to go and see it. You gotta go Stan Lee.
And of course, because his boy Captain America is just going to absolutely crush them at the box office that weekend.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to
allegedly
happen. But anyway. So that could be fun. Now, Kevin Feige has been talking about... We're still trying to deal with the whole... AntMan thing,
the whole Edgar Wright debacle.
Right, we still kind of deal with that. But Kevin Feige has been talking about how Peyton Reed, the guy that's taken over from Edgar Wright, is the man for the job. Because there is obviously some AntMan footage out there. Feige's been watching it and stuff and blah blah blah. But he says Peyton is someone that I've been a fan of for a long time. People may not remember, though probably readers will remember that he was attached to Fantastic Four more than 10 years ago. We spent a lot of time together, and I got on with Peyton very very well. And he had an awesome idea for the vision of that particular movie, and for various reasons we ended up having to leave it. Peyton was always on our list, and so when this happened and Edgar said this isn't for me, we met with a handful of people, but Peyton was always the one I thought would be great. It was not a slam dunk that he would just step in and do it. He wanted to be sure he wasn't just inheriting something or following someone else's lead, or wasn't inheriting something that the evil studio had watered down to be something bad. I kept saying, you can either read what's online, or you come in, talk to us, and look at what we have. He said he looked at everything, he talked with us, and he said, number one, I agree with the direction that you're going in, and number two, I can add to this. And he has. The movie is in as good a shape right now as it has ever been. Now, does this make you feel any better, or is this just damage control?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was listening to a podcast recently in which Kevin Feige was being interviewed, and it was about Guardians of the Galaxy, but naturally the whole AntMan thing came up. And in it, he happened to mention that during the talks with Edgar Wright, he was very cagey about it. He didn't give too much away about the whole thing that happened with Ant-Man, but I'm sure there is obviously many more layers to the story. Mm-hmm. But one thing he did come out and say, which made me go, okay, fair enough, was that whenever he was talking with Edgar Wright, he said, you're not going to come off as the bad guy here. You're going to come off as, oh, look at that, the eccentric director has been shafted out by the bad, big, evil Disney Marvel company. And in all fairness, that's exactly how it's been portrayed in the media. So Kevin Feige acknowledges that. But in all fairness, he did say that during the meetings with Edgar Wright, they sat down, they worked it out, there was no kicking and screaming, there was no dramatic storming off. It was literally sitting down saying, look, this isn't working anymore, we're going to have to part, we're going to have to go separate ways on it. It was very, very mutual, it was very, very clear and calm, and that's just sort of how it's panned out. So I'm guessing this is another continuation of that story that I heard on the podcast. Okay,
I mean, I guess we're still hoping that at the heart of it, Ant-Man has still got the potential to be a great Marvel movie. We have to have some faith in the system here, right? Because Marvel, they are getting better.
They are.
From what we're hearing of Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, myself and you, we haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, but two of our reviewers have. Three, actually, if you count it. And we have two reviews. One, as I say, is on followingthenerd.com right now, if you go and read it. Another one we're going to have live on the show, hopefully in the next sort of half an hour, 45 minutes. But both reviews, from what I'm hearing, is such good things.
Yeah.
Even going as far as to say that it's better than Avengers, that this is the best Marvel movie yet. In fact, the review that we have on the site, the only criticism for it is that there's about maybe 2 or 3 lines in it that are a bit clunky, and there's a couple of scenes where the CGI isn't quite up to scratch. So, I mean, if you have a movie that's 2.5 hours long, is really CGI and special effects heavy, and those are the only complaints, well, that's a win, right?
I'd call that an epic win right there.
That's a win. What I feel from this film is that this is potentially this generation Star Wars.
Indeed, because I was talking to you on the phone earlier in the week, and I was saying this is kind of like the cinema-going audience hasn't really encountered something like this since 1977, since the first Star Wars movie came along and blew everyone away. This is kind of Marvel's answer to Star Wars if all the leading characters were Han Solo.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is, because they're all badasses, they're all in it for themselves, and I think that works so well, because it's like a big, grand, space operatic adventure, the likes of which we haven't seen really, and let's be honest, since the original Star Wars trilogy. Because the last proper time I think we've had a movie like this is Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And I mean, this is I know there's been a lot of sci-fi movies and there's a lot of space movies and everything else, but this is the first real space opera.
Yeah. An adventure.
Since Star Wars. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Nothing else comes to mind. I've tried to think of something else on this level.
I absolutely agree. And in all fairness, it may follow the sort of Star Wars template, but this is a grand space adventure. This is different worlds, different planets. There's a real sense of adventure to it. This is what the likes of Star Trek should have been from the start. It should have been exploring new worlds, but not staying there. I hate movies or even TV series, where they're capable of space travel and going to different places, and they stay in the one place the whole time.
Yeah.
At least with movies like Guardians of the Galaxy or Star Wars, there's not just Tatooine. There's so many other planets out there. There's Hoth, for example. There's Coruscant. And Guardians of the Galaxy seem to have accepted this, and we now have a grand space adventure that takes place in multiple regions out there. There's a sense of exploration about it, which I really like.
And what I'm hearing as well is that while it is very much part of the Marvel Universe, it is very much a standalone movie. If this is your first introduction to the Marvel Universe, that's fine. You don't need to have seen it. And for the fans, there is going to be all those little nods.
It's baptism of fire, really. I mean,
kind of, yeah.
Because if your first Marvel movie was, proper Marvel movie was Iron Man, I'd pretty much say that was my first Marvel movie. It is quite grounded, and, they've slowly built that up with the introduction of Thor and so forth, and that has led into Avengers. If Guardians of the Galaxy is your first Marvel movie, you're going to get blown away, because I think this really is Marvel at the top of their game.
Yeah, I mean, I really do. I'm so excited to see this movie.
No, it's not, because I think Captain America got 4 stars as well, but, as Marvel have sort of grown, they've gone from making 3-star movies to 4-star movies. Because I think even Avengers got 4 stars. And I really think we're going to get to Age of Ultron, and we're going to get into Phase 3, and we're going to see some 5-star movies from Marvel.
Yeah.
Because they're really, really on top of their game.
Well, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, would that not be a 5-star movie?
No, it was a 4-star.
I'm talking about you personally.
Me personally, it was a 5-star movie.
Yeah.
For me personally, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to love Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm pretty sure I'm going to give it a 5-star as well.
Okay. Fair enough. But is there this danger of over-excitement? Is there this danger of, oh my god, and I can't live up to that?
Well, yeah. It's the exact same for every movie. Yeah, I mean, you could go into this movie with everybody saying this is the greatest movie ever, and you come out of it going, it was enjoyable. But from what I've seen of it and what everyone else has been saying about it, I really think I'm going to have a blast with this. Yeah. This is the type of movie that me as a child would have gone into saying, this is awesome, I want all the figures, I want the play sets, I want the Lego sets, I want everything to do with it, because this is just so awesome.
Right, now, staying with Marvel. Marvel had released, last week, they released their schedule right up until May 3rd, 2019. Now, starting from where we are now, obviously we have Guardians of the Galaxy this week. The next movie we have is May 1st next year.
And that's Avengers Age of Ultron.
Then we move into Avengers Phase 3, which is July 17th, 2015, AntMan. 2016, then we move... Sorry, July 17th, 2015, 2016, then we move into May 6th, Captain America 3. July 8th, most likely Doctor Strange. 2017, May 5th, July 27th, and November 3rd, all untitled. And 2018 is July 6th, May 4th, November 2nd. They're all untitled. And then 2019 is the 3rd of May. Now, the interesting thing about this is that can you remember offhand Iron Man, what date it came out, the first one?
Came out in May, first week in May.
Okay, and that
2008.
was 2008. Now, here's the interesting thing. Robert Downey Jr. yesterday was interviewed, or maybe it was the day before, but the news came out really yesterday, was interviewed on the set of Age of Ultron. And the question came up, because as we know, the talk has been that Downey Jr., he will do other Avengers movies, but he won't be doing any more standalone Iron Man movies.
Yes.
Now, I know me and you had a bit of a back and forth about this earlier on, but Marvel have kind of hinted at in the past is that there will be other Iron Man movies, just not necessarily with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So I likened it to James Bond. I know you disagree, but what I meant was the longevity of the character, and they can replace the actor, and that's fair enough. But interestingly, after Robert Downey Jr. came out and said that yes, I would actually be interested in doing another Iron Man movie, which obviously everybody's like, woo, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's what age? He's in
his 50s now.
I mean, he's in his 50s. But he did say he wants to do another Iron Man. He's up for Iron Man 4. He said it isn't in his hands. It's really in Kevin Feige and Marvel and Disney's hands.
Yeah, if they make the right offer.
If they make the right offer. And now, bearing in mind that he's just been voted for the second year running the world's best paid actor, that offer would have to be impressive.
The guy from Ally McBeal, everyone.
The guy from Ally McBeal. But he... So he said that, right? And that was all great and whoop-de-doo. Then yesterday, in that schedule that I have just announced, Marvel had added one more date, which wasn't in the lineup that they'd added last year. And that date was May 4th, 2018. 10 years to the day that the first Iron Man came out.
Ooh.
Could that be a coincidence? Surely this is Iron Man 4.
Absolutely not. It has to be Iron Man 4.
This has to be
with
Iron
Robert
Man
Downey
4.
Jr.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see how this is not Iron Man 4.
And in all fairness, I absolutely agree with what you're saying about they're doing a sort of James Bond where they do replace the actor but keep the same story kind of going. But I really, really think we need another standalone Iron Man movie where all the setups are paid off, because we had All Hail the King, where it was set up that Ben Kingsley was not the actual Mandarin and that there was a real Mandarin out there who was pretty upset with the events of Iron Man 3, which, of course, if nothing ever comes of it, is still quite a clever nod to the fan base. But I really want to see that, and I want to see that done with Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Okay. I want to see that with Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark.
Funny you should talk about that, right? Because Kevin Feige again,
way
talking to IGN, he was talking about whether or not we might see the real Mandarin in another Marvel movie. He also talked about Red Skull. Now, Red Skull, of course, was played by Mr. Smith himself.
You're asking me?
I can't remember.
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, sorry. Mind lapse. Hugo Weaving, of course. And then there was a bit of a dispute, I believe. I think he gave away some information or something, and Marvel kind of said, right, you know what, good luck.
Yeah.
Which is why we haven't really seen. But we had this discussion coming into the show tonight. The Red Skull did not die.
No, he didn't.
The first Avenger.
No, because if you look at the first Avenger, on that scene of the sort of prototype helicarrier Hydra thing, whenever he picks up the cosmic cube, it looks like he's being burned and being disintegrated. But if you actually pay close enough attention to it, you'll see that he's being kind of broken down into atoms, and those are being sucked up through a portal into what looks like another universe or perhaps another place in space. So Red Skull is definitely alive. And I swore blind that, because Joss Whedon came out and said there'd be 2 villains in the first Avengers movie, and that he'd like to see 2 villains in the first Avengers movie, and I swore blind that the second villain was going to be Red Skull, because it made sense, because Loki was going to be the bad guy, that was already confirmed. At the end of his movie, Thor, he went through a portal and ended up anywhere in time and space. Same thing happened to Red Skull at the end of Captain America. Both those movies came out the same year. It made sense. And of course, Hugo Weaving's Red Skull had everything to do with the Cosmic Cube. The Cosmic Cube was the big MacGuffin in Avengers. So I thought, that's really clever, what they're going to do here is they're going to show a little bit of backstory where right after the events of those 2 movies, Red Skull and Loki end up in the same place. They realize what they want. Loki wants to rule Earth, and he can use the Cosmic Cube to do that. After he's done with that, Red Skull can take the cube and go off and cause other mayhem. Yeah. It made so much sense, and that never happened.
And then, of course, I was 100% sure that Robert Redford
would be the Red Skull
in Captain America. And even though, and I'm sorry, spoilers, but you should have seen it by now, even though his character does get shot and seems to die, it almost feels like they just decided at the end that he wasn't Red Skull.
Yeah.
Because it made sense. Even just the way the whole movie tied...
the way it panned out.
The way it panned out.
Yeah, especially with the reveal of Hydra.
Yeah.
As well. It would make so much sense that the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. was the head of Hydra.
Was the Red Skull.
Yeah.
And I still think there was something fishy about the end of Winter Soldier. Just at the last minute they decided, no, we can't do this.
Yeah, because I heard an interview with the Russo brothers where they were actually asked, was there ever a plan for Alexander Pierce, Robert Redford's character, to be Red Skull? And they turned around and they went, no. Surely that's...
It can't be. It makes sense for that to be Red Skull.
Yeah, and like you said, there's even a scene in the comic book which mirrors a scene in the movie where his character's leaning up against a window.
Yeah.
And in the comic book, the reflection in the window is Red Skull.
Yeah.
Surely, why would you set up that shot if you weren't going to do that?
It's exactly. But anyway, so back to Kevin Feige. He's been talking to IGN about Mandarin and about Red Skull. Now, he talks about the Mandarin first. There have been talks. That's one of the reasons we wanted to do the fun short that Drew Pearce wrote and directed. That is, of course,
All Hail the King.
All Hail the King. That was to clarify, hey, that just because we did this thing doesn't mean that there isn't this other thing. As we were making Iron Man 3, and I think Drew's spoken about this. That was always our intention, was that Aldrich Killian was perverting the notion of these things that he had heard. It's a little bit that he's been doing his detective work in his lab after Happy's been injured outside the Chinese theatre. He's talking about, okay, the Mandarin is taken from, this is obviously Tony Stark, he's talking about, the Mandarin is taken from various iconographies and mythologies from across the world. The idea was always that there was somebody like this, that there had been rumours of somebody like this, and Aldrich Killian was built on that to make his version. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't believe that.
No.
I don't believe that. I think that was fan backlash. What have we done?
Yeah, this is the backtracking thing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this much backpedaling since a bunch of cyclists lost their way at the Tour de France.
Yeah, but I gotta say, as far as backpedaling goes, it was a beauty.
It was. He played a blinder there.
It was, to be honest with you, it was one of my Marvel highlights of last year. I mean, it was just so good.
Oh, dear.
Okay, now, so he goes on to talk about Red Skull. Right, okay, but what about Red Skull? Well, the way we showed his demise in the first Avenger was to showcase the people that he could perhaps pop up again sometimes. I honestly don't know when or where that would be. Now, obviously, Kevin Feige, he could be
playing coy here. He might genuinely have no idea where he is. But I reckon if they're planning movies for another, 4 years, more or less, that he's going to be in there somewhere.
He has to be. Maybe even Captain America 3?
I think so. Especially with all this talk of Chris Evans stepping down, right? Because you get the feeling that, again, this is like what you're saying with Robert Downey Jr. and Ben Kingsley, that maybe that thread should be tied up a wee bit neater.
Yeah.
So maybe that's going to happen.
And it makes sense, too, to make it come to its natural head, because there's so much... Like, Hydra is so highly involved in the Marvel Universe now.
Yeah.
Even more so than they were in the first Avenger movie. Like, not even... Like, we've Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which obviously has dealt with the Hydra thing. The Winter Soldier has dealt with the Hydra thing. It'll be touched upon in Age of Ultron, I'm sure. And the beginnings of it in Agent Carter. And that has to be.
I think... I can't remember where I was reading this. Apparently, Age of Ultron is very much impacted upon, because the whole idea is that the Avengers are lost. They don't know really who they are. And now that there's this massive distrust of S.H.I.E.L.D., there is a distrust of the Avengers as well.
Yes.
And that will be dealt with in Age of Ultron. But yeah, I mean, will we see and I'm sure that this opens the door for this, because Ben Kingsley clearly says in Iron Man 3 that he's had plastic surgery to look how he looks.
Yes.
Surely this opens the door for the Mandarin to be played by Ben Kingsley.
Yes.
The real Mandarin.
Yes. It'll be Ben Kingsley playing him, but without the camp.
Yeah. And maybe have both of them. Because we know that the Mandarin took Trevor.
The Mandarin the Mandarin facing off against Trevor Slattery.
Yeah.
What a scene!
Both played by Sir Ben.
Yeah.
Amazeballs.
I want to see that.
I want to see that too.
And
Right.
do you know what? If Guardians of the Galaxy is as good as everybody's saying it is, and if it makes a ton of money at the box office, and it's one of Marvel's best movies ever made, it's a movie about a tree man who only says, "I am Groot," a tiny raccoon that can fire big guns, green chicks, blue chicks, a dude who was kidnapped from Earth from the late 80s who has a cassette tape that he listens to, and a big wrestler dude who's ready to take the place down. Why couldn't you do the Mandarin?
Yeah, you can do that.
You can do that. You can do 10 magical space rings now. The Marvel Universe is open to that point, where you can get to the point where you're doing Doctor Strange. You can do the Mandarin.
Yes, I think that's pretty much true. Kevin Feige again has been talking about... Well, this is something that we know is going to happen. That down the line, the Avengers movies are going to have to change their lineup. They can't stick with the Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Hawkeye,
Black Widow.
They can't always have that. 'Cause in the comics, there's literally hundreds of Avengers, and they come and go, and they interchange and they swap around. And
it would make so much more sense if Spider-Man or Wolverine could pop in there as well.
Yes, especially, we'll talk about that later on, but especially because of the trouble that Spider-Man seems to be going through right now. But Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige has been talking about whether or not Doctor Strange will appear in the Avengers movies, or if perhaps he'll be a standalone. It makes sense, he says, to have standalone franchises, but I don't think it would make sense with this character, who is clearly woven in and out of all that stuff, being the Avengers in the comics. We have a template. There is a template for everything we do, which are the comics. Strange goes back and forth. Guardians less so, actually, until recently. But if there's a character like that who clearly interweaves over the course of many stories, I find no reason to go, we're not going to do that in the movies. We're going to keep him in his own movie. So there's always the potential for Strange to join the Avengers. So when are we going to hear who will play Strange? He says very, very soon, but not as quick as this weekend. So not at San Diego ComicCon, but the announcement is coming very, very soon.
In all fairness, though, that could just be a massive underhanded tactic, and it will be announced. Talking further, about the possibility of the Avengers, as in the comics, may not always be the same characters over and over. He says, you know what, you go into the comic bin, you pull up an Avengers from 1960, whatever, and then 1980, whatever, and they probably don't match, and I think that's fun. That's one of the reasons why Wanda and Pietro, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, have shown up in the new Avengers films, because we like the notion of a shifting roster, of a growing roster. So basically what he's saying is that by the end of Phase 3, there'll be so many Avengers that come Avengers 3 or 4, I suppose, you don't know which characters are going to be in it. Or maybe Thor might only be in it for a minute, or Iron Man might only be in it for a second, whereas it'll focus on Quicksilver. So that's pretty cool. I like that idea.
We were able to build a miniaturized arc reactor in a cave from a box of scraps. Following the nerd, we're just that good.
This is the nerd you're looking for.
You're listening to the Kevin Feige Show. Big shout out to Anne-Marie McCullough, who's listening in as well, who is the chairperson of Autism Rocks.
I thought you were going to say Marvel.
What?
I thought you were going to say of Marvel.
No, that's Kevin Feige.
Okay. Right. Let's see. Right. Okay. Star Wars, of course, is big in the news at the minute. And one of the actors that is... Oh, my notes have gone. That is making...
Oh, you have notes?
No, I have an iPad in front
Okay.
of me. One of the actors that's making a big impact is John Boyega.
John Boyega, yeah.
Who is, of course, he's going to be... We'll talk a bit later on about the possible reveal of his character is going to be in Star Wars Episode 7. But he's basically canvassing. He's trying to get the role of Black Panther. In the Marvel movies, and of course Black Panther, he's the king of Wakanda, and let's be honest, he's kind of Batman-ish, isn't he?
He's pretty much an Amazonian Batman.
He kind of is African.
Well, African, Amazonian, sort of thing.
So basically what he's
Forest
doing,
hero.
He's tweeting, he wrote, Marvel role, yes, I'm damn right aiming for one, currently booking flights to Wakanda. Now, whether or not he's just tweeting, I really want to do this, or whether he's tweeting, I'm in talks for this, nobody is quite sure, but let's look at the facts here. I mean, he's already at Disney. He's already got a foot in the door. This could be something that's going to happen.
He's doing a Channing Tatum.
He is. Now, Black Panther, he's not the most major of characters. Do you think is he big enough to be introduced in his own standalone movie, or will we see him popping up somewhere else?
Popular enough within the fandom that I think down the line they could do a standalone Black Panther movie.
Okay.
But I think they would have to set him up.
First.
Yeah. Like maybe a little cameo, a little mention.
Okay.
Maybe in one of the movies. And then do a standalone movie. But he's popular enough in the comic book reading culture. Not mainstream enough, though.
Right.
But then again, in all fairness, Iron Man wasn't that mainstream before 2008.
Well, I see that is true. Right, okay, let me see. What other news have we got before we go on to... Right. Lucy Lawless...
has joined Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
She's joining Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Brilliant.
But now her character is very hush-hush at the minute. Nobody's really keen to say what she's doing or who she's playing. I don't know. Is she a big enough deal? Everybody seems to be getting quite excited about this.
She was big in like the late 90s with Xena.
Yeah.
But she hasn't really done much since then,
She was
has
in
she?
Battlestar Galactica. She was very good in Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
She was one of the Cylons, and she was very, very good at it. Now, we will see, what else have we got?
Oh, she was in that Spartacus show as well, wasn't she?
Was she? I'm not sure.
I think she was, with John Hannah.
She was in Spider-Man 2 as well.
She was in the first Spider-Man.
The first Spider-Man was the
As
first
a,
one
she
she was
played
in?
like a weird punk thing.
Yeah, she was in it for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It was really, really weird.
Guy without hands. Sounds hot.
Very good. Yeah, Daredevil as well. One of the producers of Daredevil has been talking about the series, and he says it's very gritty and grimy and street level. Well, you know this already, don't we?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be, isn't it? It's kind of like Marvel After Dark.
Yeah.
Marvel
okay.
of the night, you may say.
Right. Right now, DC, of course, have been making have some pretty big news coming on at the minute as well. They have 3 big TV shows now. You know, here's the thing: as much as Marvel own your cinema, DC own your TV.
Well, we know this,
which is cool. I like that.
Yeah, they're both dominating different domains.
Yes, and they're doing amazing things right now because they have Arrow, which is massive already. 2 seasons in. Have you ever finished season 2? No.
No. You need to get me those episodes, man.
All right, you need to keep on me. I have so many things.
I know. I don't want to bother you though.
I know, but you need to bother me. Bother me, damn it.
Number of times I've heard that. If I had a penny for every time I heard that, I'd have £4.63.
So they've Flash and Arrow on the go. Gotham kicks off this September, which, to be honest with you, the more and more I see, the better it looks.
Yeah, do you know, like, whenever this project was first announced, I just didn't give it a chance.
Yeah.
And the more, as you say, you hear about it, the more you see about it, it sounds like such a good idea.
Yeah, because, you know, we're getting a lot of sort of new bits and pieces coming out. Gary Oldman's not convinced that Batman vs Superman's work. We don't care, Gary.
You're not in it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, which is probably why he's not impressed. Right, now this is the big rumour. I like this rumour. Gotham, apparently. Last week, a picture came out from the series featuring John Beavers, who appears in the first episode of Gotham as a stand-up comedian in Fish Mooney's club. Fish Mooney, of course, is Jada Pinkett Smith's character. She's kind of a mob boss in Gotham.
Right.
And she has a nightclub. And this guy has popped up, a photograph of this guy popped up, and he's a stand-up comedian. Now, anybody that knows their Batman mythos will know that one of the most popular origins for the Joker is the Alan Moore and Brian Bolland's The Killing Joke, in which the Joker. Have you ever read it?
No, but I have heard a lot about it.
You should. It's such an amazing book.
Okay.
But basically, the story is he's a stand-up comedian, and he puts on he agrees to rob a factory with these guys one night, and then he backs out of it. He puts it, but anyway, it goes. But basically, the origin is that everything goes really bad. He has a really bad day, and he goes mad. He falls into a vat of chemicals. Batman, the 1989 Batman, borrowed quite heavily from Killing Joke. The whole bit where Jack fell into the chemicals and stuff, that was almost lifted straight from Killing Joke, but who the character was quite different. But he was a stand-up comedian. He went mad. He became the Joker.
Okay.
Basically. So once this
kind
picture...
of bish bash bosh there.
Yeah. Once this picture went online, everybody was like, this guy's clearly the Joker. But apparently it's not quite that easy. According to Bleeding Cool, this may have been a very deliberate leak from the people behind Gotham. Basically, every episode in the first season will introduce a character that might be Joker, each emphasising aspect of the character's iconography: a card sharp, a flower seller, a clown, or a guy with a big grin. All relatively unknown actors, all potentially the Joker, but only one of them will actually be the Clown Prince of Crime. Get ready to be Joker teased on a weekly basis. I like this idea, because it means you get to play detective while you're watching Gotham.
And that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
So it's like you can sort of become Batman in your own little way.
Yeah. I like that idea.
Become the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, I think it's a really clever idea to have the Joker lurking in the background.
Yeah. Or in the foreground without you even noticing.
And I think this is very, very clever if it pans out to be true. Gotham, I mean, there's so much talk about Gotham. I think Gotham's going to be one of the big things this year at SDCC. But we'll see. Showrunner Bruno Heller has been chatting about the series at the TCAs this weekend. He talked about the pilot, which has been reviewed so far very highly. But what a lot of people are saying is that there's almost too much stuff in the first episode, too many nods and winks and homages and references.
Yeah, it kind of pulls you out of it a bit, because you go, oh, they're talking about that character, or oh, they're talking about this event.
Exactly, but he says, no, well, you know what, as the show rolls on, we'll be far more careful with how we roll out the villains and in what way. These are our origin stories for all of these guys. The Penguin comes fully fledged, since you have to show your best cards up front, but as we go on, there'll be a slower rollout. He talks about the choice to make it focus on James Gordon rather than the Dark Knight. Gordon is the moral linchpin of the show. He's the guy that creates Batman, or gives Batman permission to exist in this world. It's the journey of a man who's very much about the law and order, and someone who accepts this dark vigilante. It's a story of how you get to deal with crime in this level when there's no superheroes, when ordinary men and women are dealing with the struggle, waiting for a saviour. It's about men and women who are not superheroes, and that is a much more interesting story. So basically what he's saying is that the first episode, and I think this is only to be expected, the first episode is going to be jam-packed of Batman references and nods and everything else, and I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But one of the more interesting stories that came out about Gotham just a couple of days ago was that apparently there's going to be another two big characters and a nod to one of the most important locations in the Batman mythos. Gotham executive producer Bruno Heller again was talking about Hugo Strange is going to pop up, because we're going to get to start dealing with how Arkham was created and why Arkham was created in the way that it was. It's a season one thing, because they are telling of the way Arkham was created and why and how it's one of the causes of particular criminals climate in Gotham that allow Batman to happen. The revolving door of Arkham is both a brilliant narrative device, because it allows you to... You don't have to kill people off, you can keep them, put them in storage, but if you're telling that story from the start, you kind of have to explain, what the hell, why can't you just keep these guys all together? We're going to explain that, and Hugo Strange is a big part of that. So basically what I think he's saying is that Hugo Strange, it's going to be this whole idea that they have as well, where Oscorp is kind of the reason everything's happening in Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man universe,
Arkham's going to kind of be the reason everything's happening. You know, Hugo Strange is obviously going to let certain criminals out, and he's going to be sort of
encourage
pulling the
them,
strings,
cause them to do the things that they do.
Yeah, and I like
then
that.
Again, that theme of escalation as well.
Exactly, I like that idea. Now, this is an interesting one. Harvey Dent is going to appear as well. He says, we're going to do Harvey Dent, but he's going to be slightly older. He'd be more Gordon's age in this story. One of the things to avoid in order not to tell a high school story, which would be great, but it's a different show on a different network at a different time, and this is not what we're all about. We will go back to school, and the villains will be part of that world. On the question of crossovers with Arrow, mostly because characters like Ra's al Ghul and Nisa al Ghul are there, he says, that's a good metaphysical trans-network question, but I don't think it'll preclude anything. But I think it'll be tough to do crossovers, because these worlds are so very different. Like I said, there's so many rich, great characters that we can't get them all in there. So, I know, is he saying here that at Arrow, owns Raz and Nisa, that we're not going to see them in this universe?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, Danny Cannon, who's directing the first episode. Danny Cannon directed the original Judge Dredd movie, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Yeah. He said that they're getting all their threads, their storylines from DC's Jeff Johns, and hints that Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy's superpowered origins will be revealed, and that characters like Dr. Leslie Tompkins are not out of the question. But it might take a couple of seasons. Now, of course, we talked about Leslie Tompkins before. She was kind of the character that took Bruce Wayne. She was the first person on scene when Bruce's parents were killed, and Batman goes
just as important to him as Alfred was.
She's basically the female Alfred, and she's a big character in the comics because there was talk that she was going to pop up in Dawn of Justice, but it looks like we may get to see her eventually in Gotham, which is pretty cool. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are we for Gotham?
I'd give it a solid 8.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
How excited are you for Gotham?
Yeah, I'm about an 8. Is there potential here for it to be awful?
There's always potential for it to be awful.
Okay.
I kind of want to see how they deal with superpowered heroes without Batman. Like, how do Gotham City Police Department take down someone like the Joker or the Scarecrow? You know, how does Gordon fight those without the help of a skilled, trained warrior?
Okay, but do you think that it's more likely... I know he said there that you might see Poison Ivy and Victor Fries, but do you think it's more likely that we're not going to see these characters as the supervillains?
We're going to see them as the character beforehand. It's going to be more of a drama. It's going to detail their downfall almost.
Yeah, because, I mean, you create characters like the Riddler. I mean, the police could conceivably try and contain the Riddler. I think Mr. Freeze, what they're going to do with him is that it's going to be more a medical thing, that he just tries to keep himself alive, basically. You know, it may be down the line that we get to see him become the monster that is Freeze. Hugo Strange, well, Hugo Strange is what he is. Harvey Dent we may not see as Two-Face for 10 seasons, so I don't think we're going to get to see the really crazy side of Gotham just yet. This is before the crazy.
Yeah, this is kind of like the storm clouds are gathering sort of thing.
Because Batman in the comics is the cause of the crazy.
Will Batman appear say Gotham gets 10 seasons, will it kind of be like a Smallville thing where eventually we will see him in tights? We'll see Bruce Wayne in the Batsuit.
I can't see how. Because the young guy that's playing Bruce is, I think, 12.
Right.
And Batman was 30 before he really became Batman. So that's 18 years. Do you know? So unless at some point in the series they skip forward, sort of 4 years later or 5 years, maybe every season skips 5 years, which might be interesting actually to see how it escalates each season. It gets worse and worse until eventually Batman does turn up.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can call it Gotham if they're going to chronicle how Bruce becomes Batman, where he travels the world and he learns to fight and he learns all these skills.
No, I don't think you'll see that.
Yeah.
I think you'll sort of see him as he grows and matures, why there has to be a Batman. There has to be something beyond the police.
Do you think in this we're going to see scenes where young Bruce, where he's looking at a picture of his parents and he's saying, I swear I'm going to avenge your death, whatever happens.
That sounds cheesy as hell, but yeah, something
But they're
like
going to do that, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think they will. There'll be little cutaway scenes like that. And then for them to introduce Batman, as you say, what they'll have to do is they'll have to sort of have a scene where Gordon says, Bruce is gone, haven't seen him, or, Bruce came to say goodbye, he's going to tour the world and do his young rich kid thing.
Yeah. Or they could just do literally, like, Bruce Wayne has gone missing, presumed dead.
Yeah. Which would be an interesting dynamic if they're going to go for the whole Gordon is quite close to Bruce in this reality.
And you could also have a little kind of side story where Gordon's trying to track down Bruce.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. They could do that. There's a lot
Hearing mysteries about the League of Shadows.
But see, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the League of Shadows is going to appear, because I think what we're hearing here now is that Arrow owns the League of Shadows.
I know, but you could say, like, there's whisperings of a league of some kind.
Okay.
Of some description.
Ninja people.
Ninja people, yeah.
Okay.
Who live on the side of a cliff somewhere.
Right, William Sadler has joined Arrow.
Has he?
Yeah. It's pretty cool, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Arrow's cast is amazing for season 3.
Producers of Flash have officially announced that character actor William Sadler will be ruthless CEO Simon Stagg. Sadler has previously made a career playing many diverse characters, but is probably best known for the Machiavellian head of the Federation Wetworks Agency Section 31, Luther Sloan in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Illustrating his versatility, he's also played Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and most recently President Ellis in Iron Man 3. Stagg is set to make his first appearance in the show's second episode. In the comics, he sends his daughter's fiancé Rex Mason on an archaeological expedition to Egypt and tries to have him killed, only for Mason's exposure
captured the radiation artifact, the Orb of Ra, to mutate him into the shape-shifting Metamorpho. Despite hints being dropped in Season 2 of Arrow, no firm mention of Metamorpho appearing in either show has been made. Yeah, I mean, Sadler's a great actor.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the bad guy in Die Hard 2?
Was he? No, I don't think he was.
Was he not? Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Yeah.
Hey, Arrow! You totally Melvin Metamorpho.
Right, Arrow.
You just see Speedy going like, Arrow, you will come with me.
The producer Greg Berlanti, who's looking after Arrow and The Flash, has been talking about crossover episodes. Now, little spoiler alert, but I think everybody knows this. Arrow does pop up in the first episode of The Flash.
Well, it's not really a spoiler alert because he's in the trailer.
Is he? Okay, well, there you go. So he does pop up. He's not in it for long, but it does establish that Flash will maybe come to him every now and again for advice or information or whatever. Because, you know, at this stage, Arrow's been sort of an established crime fighter, whereas the Flash is just trying to find his footing, so to speak. But yeah, Greg Berlanti recently told TV Guide that it is going to happen as soon as possible. That's our hope. Our hope is to get some crossovers going sooner rather than later. But listen to this, with all the shows.
All the shows?
Now, surely he should have said both the shows. Are we going to see more TV shows in this universe?
Perhaps. But what else could you do?
Well, I mean, you have the whole Justice League there.
Do you think we're going to have a Wonder Woman TV series again?
Possibly.
Or a Batman TV series?
Well, no, they have another story is that the producers of Arrow did say that Batman and Superman will not exist in this universe.
They don't exist in this universe?
Well, I mean, Arrow is Batman, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, yes.
But no, they won't be. But I assume that the rest of the league is...
Yeah, we're going to sit down and watch an episode of Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I want to see a Green Lantern TV series.
A Green Lantern, yeah.
Because the mythology there is rich enough to warrant a TV series.
Absolutely. Wentworth Miller, does that name mean anything to you? Did you watch Prison Break? No?
No.
Okay, he was the guy in Prison Break who had all the tattoos. It has been revealed that Prison Break star Wentworth Miller will play Leonard Snart, the man who will become Captain Cold in the Flash TV show.
Didn't he have a cereal?
Captain Cold is a comic book villain created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino as one of the rogues of the Flash. He is a leader of the Rogues, a loose criminal association of enemies of the Flash. First appearing in 1957's showcase, blah 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 blah. Miller will appear in the 4th episode as Snart. The cast of the Flash show includes Gus and Gratis, Barry Allen, yada 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 yada. So again, just like in the last show, you know, we were talking that a lot of these characters are going to pop up, but not necessarily right away as the villains or everything else. It's universe building.
Yeah.
It's name dropping.
And we like that.
Yeah.
We like a slow burn sometimes.
Yeah, and like, let's be honest, these guys don't just walk in as super villains.
Yeah, they don't just burst through a wall going, ah, ha, 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 ha.
No.
You know, that's something you would see in the 60s Batman TV series. You know, like, as an audience now, we demand more from our villains.
I kind of want to see that, though.
Yeah, I think that would work for Flash.
I think it would.
You just have the bad guy just burst through a wall going, I'll get you next time, Flash!
Here I am, Captain Cold! And then makes something freeze. I want to see that. I definitely want to see that.
Yeah. Oh my god, Mr. Freeze! No, I'm Captain Cold! Did you get a new name or something? Shut up! I freeze things! Yeah, you're Victor Freeze. No, I'm not! I'm Captain Cold!
Okay, right. I think it's got to that time where we're going to have to try and get...
There's Stuart Bay.
There's Stuart on the phone.
On the line Bay.
Hello, Stuart.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What's happening?
Well, I've just sent you a message there saying Andy's been trying to get in contact with you regarding his Guardians of the Galaxy review, so...
Yeah, well, because what's happened is Skype was acting the leg there and wouldn't let us in.
Yeah, Skype problems. That never happens.
Right, well, listen, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Because we still have the review and stuff to get in, we're going to get straight into it. What's happening this week, Stuart?
Well, quick couple of things. I've been looking around because obviously San Diego ComicCon is on, and I don't know, you must have heard of a video game called Final Fantasy.
Oh, yes.
There's a guy called Tetsuya Nomura who works on the Final Fantasy series, and he creates lots of the character designs, etc. Well, he's working with DC on a Batman model, and it's been shown at San Diego ComicCon, and it's the most far removed thing you'll have ever seen from Batman. It looks nothing like Batman. His model design is very futuristic. It's got huge, massive wings with spikes on the ends of the wings and hands, sort of like skeleton kind of hands on the wings themselves. The helmet that he's wearing is like really pointed with red stripe going straight through the eye area, and the chest area is like built up with sort of like if he mated with a transformer in a way.
Right, lovely.
It's very over the top, kind of very, very Japanese. But when I saw it, I just thought, yeah, that's not Batman, but it's insanely awesome.
Right. And where can we find? Is there any images of this online or?
Yeah, there is a couple of images online there. GameSpot seems to have showed a few images, but you can find them on there. Okay. I'll try and capture them and might write up a new story of some sorts for the site.
Okay,
maybe
cool.
Possibly.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So what else is happening now? Of course, the big talk this week, and we've already talked about it a little bit, is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. To be honest, I can't wait for it. I was just reading something there with an interview with James Gunn, and says that there is an end of credit sequence. There's in fact 2 end of credit sequences, and he says it's very, very, very awesome. That's all he said, because normally we get sort of like hints of what the end credit sequence is. It seems to leak, but for some reason the end of credit sequences is only attached to the theatrical release of the film.
Yeah.
So any preview screenings that people have been seeing, I don't think it's attached to them.
You know, the interesting thing about this, because I just haven't had a chance to put this on the site, is that Gunn did say that it would be on the copies from the 1st of August, but we get it before that. Do you think is there a chance that the UK releases aren't going to have this, much like the scene at the end of Avengers with the
shawarma?
The shawarma?
Well, he said theatrical releases, so it's theatrically released over here on the 31st.
Yeah.
So we should get it, because you would find a lot of annoyed people if the fact that James Gunn has been saying that it is supposedly really epic and you don't get it. You'll just get a lot of annoyed people.
But what he has been saying as well is that while it is epic, it really just ties in the Guardians. It doesn't spin off into the future movies as well, which is interesting. Yeah,
it is, but I can't wait to see it. I'm trying to get day off work next Thursday to go and see it in IMAX.
Right. Yeah, it looks an awful lot of fun. I'm really excited. I can't wait to hear, because I know your cohort, your partner in crime from the Monday Movie Show is going to be on in a couple of minutes talking about it. I'm looking forward to that as well. Right, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to move quickly onto the top 10.
At number 10, it's 22 Jump Street.
Best comedy of this year. It's on par with 21 Jump Street.
At number 9, it's The Fault in Our Stars.
Really good acting from Ansel Elgort and Shailene Woodley. It has a slight little problem when it gets to Amsterdam, but apart from that, it's really well done.
At 8, it's Boyhood.
Yeah, it got a small theatrical release, Boyhood. I saw it last Friday in a very small cinema. Absolutely beautiful cinema. It's not part of a chain. As a matter of fact, when the trailers are actually playing, they have the area where you get your popcorn and your drinks and stuff like that in the screen in itself. And that's open while adverts are playing. And once the adverts are finished, that's it. You can't buy any more popcorn or drinks. And I just loved that. But Boyhood is Richard Linklater's latest film. It's been filmed over the course of 12 years. And in that period of 12 years, he shot around about 35 minutes of the film. So you grow up with the actors who play the characters in the film. And it is absolutely fantastic.
Our first new entry of the week is at number 7, Pudsey the Dog, the movie.
Yeah, you take a Britain's Got Talent act, which is famous for 5 minutes. You take out half of that act, you get the person who's on the judges to voice the dog, and you expect that to be a good film.
Is that what this is? This is something from Britain's Got Talent?
Yes,
yeah,
it's
do you remember the dog that was dancing?
No, I don't watch that crap.
It's the dancing dog, which is voiced by David Williams.
Wow.
And the dog never even talked in Britain's Got Talent, naturally. Like, that wasn't part of the gimmick.
It's directed by the guy who did Horrid Henry the movie.
Awesome.
Says it all, really.
Exactly.
At number 6, it's Mrs. Brown's Boys, the movie.
Yous would like to forget about it. I would like to completely wipe it out of my memory, so yeah, the less said about that film, the better.
At 5, it's our second new entry of the week, Andre Rieu's 2014 Maastricht concert.
Yeah, Andre Rieu's concerts seem to be getting in the top 10 every single time they've been streamed into cinemas now, so it's the first of 2 live events rather than films being in the top 10, and like I said, when the last one was in the charts, that we're going to see a lot more of these kind of events being in the chart.
At 4, it's another new entry, Monty Python, Ode to London.
The thing with this is they did sort of like the same kind of thing as they did with Doctor Who. The fact that it was shown on TV at exactly the same time, so you could watch this on Gold as it was shown at the O2. and streamed in cinemas as well. If you're a fan of Monty Python, it's very much the same as the stuff that they've done before.
We actually have a review of it on the site, and one of the criticisms of it is that it's too polished. It's too clean. There's like breakdancing and massive big dancing routines and stuff.
Right.
And it doesn't, because the whole thing about Monty Python is the feeling that the wheels could have come off at any second, whereas you don't have that now.
It's
too good.
It seems that they were trying too hard to be funny and slightly controversial by some of the songs that they were singing about. It's the kind of thing that you would laugh at if it was done by Matt Stone and Trey Parker. So if it was like a South Park skit or in one of those films. But with the Monty Python crew, it doesn't suit their humour in a way.
Right. Okay.
In at 3, it's Transformers: Age of Extinction.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I've seen it twice. This film, I've seen it in 3D in IMAX, and in IMAX I nearly fell asleep twice. And I still stick by saying it is really boring. Mm-hmm. It's just lots of bangs and crashes and wallops, and none of it makes sense whatsoever. The acting is terrible. The storyline is completely forgettable. The bad guys are just there because they thought Kelsey Grammer might make a good bad human character in the film. The bad guys, when it comes to the robots, they're completely forgettable as well. It's not as annoying as the last two Transformers movie, but it's nowhere near the first one.
Yeah, I love this idea that it's this epic movie where the Transformers are facing extinction, but there's still only 5 of them.
Yeah.
The thing what I find interesting as well is in its opening weekend, if you count the 60-year previews, it took 11 million. In its second week, it took 1.7 million. That's an insane drop-off. If you take out previews, it dropped 52% in takings.
Yeah, I think this is time this franchise got rebooted.
Do you know what I was actually thinking about? And I posted this the other day on Facebook. Do you know who should take over the franchise?
Yes, I do, but go ahead.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller. From the Lego Movie. Because I was watching the final sort of epic battle from the Lego Movie, and that's kind of how a Transformers movie should be done. Okay. It's coherent action, and obviously they know how to write good comedy as well, and it wouldn't be as awkward and as uncomfortable as watching a Michael Bay version of it. And they grew up with the franchise as well, because they were kind of kids when Generation 1 was playing.
Fair enough.
What do you think?
No, because I like Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and I don't want their stuff to be tarnished with this franchise.
I know, but they could take it and make it something that's, watchable, like a good movie.
Get Phil Lord and Christopher Miller to write it, get Guillermo del Toro to direct it.
There we go.
No, del Toro. You're going with the Pacific Rim thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see him on this.
But he is smart and inventive, and if he's got the backing of somebody like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they can make it funny, and he can bring in his ideas to make it more interesting.
Okay.
I can kind of imagine a Guillermo del Toro version of Transformers to be, you see all these little kind of cogs and bits of machinery working, and the camera pans back to reveal that that's inside the leg of Optimus Prime as he's kicking a bad guy in the face.
Yeah. Cogs coming off and stuff.
Yeah, slow motion. In it, too, it's How to Train Your Dragon 2.
I loved it. It's brilliantly well, and the animation in it is fantastic. It's absolutely beautiful. The storyline is very adult for a kid's animated film. It doesn't have that typical thing where it relies on the quirky characters, even though there is a bit of comedy in the movie. It doesn't need to rely on that because the storyline is so strong. So it is the best animated film of this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, better
than the Lego Movie.
I saw it last weekend. I took the kids to see it and my wife as well, and we all enjoyed it. It's a very, very good movie. It's really good, a lot of fun. Did you go and see it? I knew you were going to go and see it.
I've yet to see it.
Yeah, it's
I've
good.
had no time.
It's good. It's a lot of fun.
And at number 1, taking our final new entry of the week, it's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, speaking about graphics and CGI, etc., the motion capture in this is the best you'll have ever seen in a film. Andy Serkis is an absolute genius with this kind of thing. The movements of every single gorilla in the movie is just... It's like they're proper actors. Because each one of the gorillas have got their own sort of like unique personalities, especially with Caesar, because he's evolved so much from the first one up until this one. The same with Cobra, who's sort of like the antithesis of Caesar, who thinks that he thinks that Caesar, everything that he's doing is sort of like wrong, and he needs to actually challenge the humans rather than try and befriending them again. So there's inner conflict between the apes, which works brilliantly. There's inner conflict between the humans, which is shadowed a lot by the way the apes play out. But it's still, it's a really good film. A lot of people said they prefer the first part, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, to this one. I prefer this one to Rise just because the characters of the apes are more evolved in a way in this one than they are in Rise.
This is a much better movie. This is a far, far superior movie. Because I'm not a Planet of the Apes fan. I don't not like Planet of the Apes. I'm just not a particular fan. But I went to see it and it just blew me away. I thought it was fantastic. Because I had an idea in my head of what I was going to see, and it's not that movie. The movie you think you're getting isn't this movie.
Yeah, I think that the storyline in Rise is much more stronger. The political elements of Rise, the fact that the experimentation on the apes themselves and the drugs that they're using, and the fact that it was humans that caused they might as well say the ape apocalypse in a way. So I prefer that storyline towards Dawn's storyline, which seems very, very similar to what we've seen before. But it's just the way they handle that simplistic storyline, which is done really well. And the fact that the opening 10 minutes is just all centered on the apes themselves, and you're just seeing part of their life, how they've actually survived over the 10 winters, and the fact that they believe that there's no humans left because they've not seen them for 2 winters. Mm-hmm. It is brilliantly well handled, and the way they use the sign language, and the fact that Caesar and Cobra speak because Caesar obviously passed it on to Cobra, and there's a few little bits and bobs going through the camp itself. And you've also got Maurice, the big, huge, massive orangutan, teaching the little tiny apes sort of like human ways in a way. And so I love the way that the opening 10 minutes is handled.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really, really good. Right, so Stuart, what's happening this week? What's the big new movies on the horizon this week?
You've got Hercules, which is Dwayne Johnson's latest film. It's directed by Brett Ratner.
Yeah, we have a review of it on the site. Kieran saw it. He said that it's a mess, it's disjointed, but it's a lot of fun, which I think is kind of what we expected.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be earth-shattering, especially considering it's coming from Brett Ratner. But yeah, it can't be as bad as the Kalen Lutz Hercules film, which was released earlier on in the year, and it's out on DVD and Blu-ray in a couple of weeks' time, because that was an absolute car crash of a mess. Mm-hmm. You've got a small sort of like kids' adventure film, Earth to Echo.
It looks very good.
Yeah, it's got bits of E.T. in there and little bits of Super 8 and things like that, and I'm going to be seeing it. I'm going to be reviewing it on my show, so yeah, it looks like a children's adventure film.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah, we don't see very many of these kind of movies. The last one, I think, was Super 8, which is very similar to it. So there's that. You've got a small drama called Joe, which is Nicolas Cage's new film. It's been getting some decent reviews. Mm-hmm. And The Purge Anarchy, which it's taking the idea of the Purge, taking it out of the house and stretching it across a bigger, expansive area.
Yeah, I'm actually hearing it's quite good. I've heard that it's very B-movie territory, and it's schlocky and it's fun.
Yeah, according to Jason Blum, who's backing all of these kind of movies, the fact that it's only got like a $5 million budget, and he says he wanted to expand it out a bit more and make it the kind of film that the first Purge should have been. Because when a lot of people, after seeing the first Purge, they thought it was a good idea, but it should have been expansive rather than being contained, because the idea is an expansive idea. So they seem to have gone that with the Purge, and the fact that they want to do a third one, but make it a prequel to show you the first year of when they actually held the Purge.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see this one as well. I'm reviewing it as well.
Happy days. Okay, right. Now, Stuart, for anybody that's listening to the show right now that wants to check out your podcast, where's the best place to find you? MondayMovieShow.co.uk. It's going out Sunday night this week, because Andy's busy on the Monday, and it should be on followingthenerd.com on Monday. Yes, I'll put it up on the Monday night. Before I let you go, did you like your banner with the little floating Benny?
Yes, I always like the banner. The banner's always awesome.
Thank you very much. But I thought I had to put Benny in there just floating around.
One thing before I quickly go, there's a slight mistake on your Guardians of the Galaxy review.
Okay.
Yeah, this age certificate, it's not a PG, it's a 12-year.
Okay, I couldn't actually find. I wrote it up very quickly because I had to schedule it before he came on, and I couldn't find the thing. I took a guess. I flipped a coin if it was either a 12s or a PG.
Yeah,
I will fix that now.
It's a 12-year.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For making me seem like a clown.
Yeah, and I'll have my thoughts on Guardians next week.
Look forward to it. Stuart, listen, until next week, take care, sir, and may the force be with you.
Catch you next week.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was Stuart from the Monday Movie Show. Now, without even drawing breath, let's see if Andy is ready, because he can't listen to the show, so I'm going to have to message him and make sure that he's ready to rock. Because he is, of course, I'm sure he's bouncing around here. He's been talking to Stuart, and apparently he's absolutely hopping. Because he's just come out of it. He says he's ready. Let's call him.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Not sure why, but we've had the video call you, but that's okay. Andy, we've just been talking to your partner in crime from the Monday Movie Show. Thank you very much for coming on.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. Now, you have been, you lucky boy, you have been out to see the movie that everyone is talking about right now, and everybody's very, very excited to see. You've just come back from Guardians of the Galaxy. What did you think?
Well, kind of blown away, but with a little bit of a kind of, not perfect, but I don't know if that's just because I had high expectations, but I really, really enjoyed it.
We were talking earlier on. I think that this movie will suffer from high expectations.
Yeah, it certainly will, and to a certain extent, possibly suffer from fans. I mean, people who know the Marvel Universe are going to love it. There's things I know the Marvel Universe. I don't know it that heavily, and that much. I'd never actually heard of Guardians of the Galaxy before they announced it. I'd not seen any editions of the comic, but I then obviously looked into it a bit, and I know a bit from that, but there are going to be people who will come into this completely cold. Some may gain from it having no sort of knowledge of it at all. Others may find that it's very, that's kind of left field, especially for Marvel, because although it is in the same universe as them, it basically has very little connections to the ones so far in the way that they've all had connections to Avengers.
Okay. Now, this is pretty much a James Gunn movie. He wrote this, he's directed it, he had a huge impact on it. What I'm hearing is that it's very much a standalone movie if you're relatively new to the Marvel Universe. Is that fair to say?
It is, yeah. As I say, there's certain things in there that if you know, I mean, obviously, there is, I don't want to sort of spoil, so I'm going to sort of tiptoe around certain things. Obviously, I know I'll be getting severely slapped if I spoil things. But there is sort of appearances by a certain villain character in the movie, which was sort of rumoured to be happening. I can say that definitely has happened. So it does have connections to the other films through that, and presumably then for a future Avengers film.
Okay. Now, here's another thing I have to ask you as well. Did your screening of it have anything after the credits?
No. We were told beforehand that did not happen because of the fact of that it's still being done. Yeah. It's not been added to it because it's not due to be released for another week. We're actually getting it, unlike previous Marvel films, in the UK, we're getting it one day before the US instead of 1 week. On average, we've had it, the Marvel films, a week before the US releases. Here, we're just getting it one day, which shows you that they are still doing things for it, which I suspect the reason for that is that it's probably not been filmed, or it's still being done in post-production, which means it's probably being filmed by Joss Whedon for Avengers Age of Ultron.
Okay. Right, now, overall, okay, what we'll do is we'll ask you to give us a brief review of the whole movie overall, and give us a mark out of 5 at the end of it.
Okay. So basically it is it's kind of an origin story of the Guardians of the Galaxy. At the beginning of the movie, they kind of are all sort of separate characters we're introduced to. The main one is Peter Quill, also known as Star-Lord to him and only a few others. He is sort of a scavenger, as a person who's been sort of raised by scavengers that abducted him from Earth when he's young, which you see early in the film. The very opening, before you see the very opening Marvel intro screen, is just a sequence of him as a child on Earth, and then he's abducted. That all takes place before it then shows the Marvel screen, and then the film starts. He is then chased by several characters who are after him because he manages to sort of steal this relic. He is then being chased by these people who are working for someone named Ronin, they say, who is sent a woman named Gamora after him, played by Zoe Saldana. Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt, is also being chased by a sort of a bounty hunter named Rocket, voiced by Bradley Cooper, who has along with him Groot, who is a sort of a tree character played by Vin Diesel. And they all sort of end up in a little sort of chase, sort of confrontation on a planet because someone's put a bounty on Star-Lord's head for 40 million credits, which is quite a lot that they want to collect. Because of a sort of a confrontation that happens on this planet, they all end up arrested, go to a prison where they end up meeting Drax the Destroyer, played by Dave Bautista, and they all sort of team up there in order to sort of escape and go their own way because of the fact of that they need to sort of get out there and stop certain things from happening. That's as far as I will go. That's sort of the first 20-25 minutes. That's not really spoiling anything.
Okay. Just before you go any further, is Rocket Raccoon the absolute amazing piece of cinema that he seems to be? The technical brilliance that he seems to be?
He is, and I absolutely love him. I'm going to say this. Anyone who's got kids, when your kids see this, and I'll get to that in a moment because there's an issue with that I will get to, but anyone who's got kids and they're looking at things for sort of toys or anything for Christmas, and there's anything out probably that's either Rocket Raccoon or Groot based, then maybe a good idea to sort of head out to the shops and pick up some of that now, because these characters will just be such a big thing to kids and youngsters in the audience. They got laughs continuously throughout. From Rocket is a very angry character, has been explained, because of the things. There is a great sequence where he kind of loses it and breaks down, which is quite an emotional sequence as well. Groot is a lot more of an emotional, caring character, and there's actually moments where I was kind of almost hit emotionally a couple of moments just because of the character. He's so not what I expected.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of worry that Bradley Cooper was an ill fit for Rocket. Is that, what do you think? How did he pull himself off?
Yeah, I had sort of a concerns about that. I mean, I had concerns about him. I had a concern slightly about Vin Diesel as well. Bradley Cooper is absolutely brilliant in the role because he does bring this very dry wit and very dry sort of humour to Rocket, who basically, as far as he's concerned, he is brilliant and everyone else is sort of an idiot. He knows all this stuff that he's doing, and just he kind of has weird morals in that, you know, he'll gladly put together a bomb and leave it lying around and not care to, you know, say don't touch this, it's a bomb. And it's just this little humour bits like that he's genuinely brings a laugh to you for just being a bit of a sort of a weirdo in society, someone who's an outcast of society. You have Groot as well, as I say, who is the weird thing of Groot is that, as everyone knows, he can only say I am Groot, but there's a great sense of humour between him and Rocket. The two of them make one great character that's fantastic because they have this back and forth, because Groot says I am Groot, but he says it like I am Groot, I am Groot, I am. He's in different ways that he says it, which then means he's saying inflection. So he's saying different things, and Rocket then just replies to him in that he said it, and you don't get subtitles or anything. So it's kind of like a kind of like Han Solo Chewbacca thing going on there.
Class. Okay, I like the sound of that. Now, in the scheme of the Marvel movies so far, where does this sit?
Is in line with them. It starts off, the opening, as I say, that starts off back on Earth when Star-Lord is young. It actually starts off Earth 1988 is the first words that come up on the screen. That sequence happens, then it goes 26 years later, so it's present day. It is up to date with everything else. So while everything's going on Earth in all the other Marvel films so far, or on Asgard or anywhere else, this is happening at the same time in just other parts of the galaxy.
Okay, and in terms of best movie or quality of the movie, where does it rank in the Marvel spectrum so far?
Right, I mean, obviously I just seen it, so I am kind of on a high from it, but I don't think it's the best one. Personally, for me, that's still Captain America: The Winter Soldier, so take it from that how you will. I mean, to give you an idea of my view of films, my least favourite so far has been Thor: The Dark World. My most favourite has been Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I would say this is very kind of Avengers level, because of the fact that there's similarities, obviously, because you have a group of several characters who start off at the beginning, meet up, they're at odds with each other, and then have to sort of team up grudgingly and become a team. So it has serious sort of similar connotations between the characters of Avengers and the characters of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, now if you had to give it a rating out of 5?
Because we do sort of out of nerds. I would say 4 nerds out of 5.
Okay. Where does it lose the 1?
The issue I have with it is that it's well structured. There are great laughs in there. I suspect that Joss Whedon has been involved at some level on some parts of the script and injected some humour into it. this is where I think it's better than Thor, because it doesn't feel, with me, the issue with Thor: The Dark World is that the humour came in and it was kind of edged in, then it went back to doing what it was. This is a lot more fluid and smoother between action and comedy. It's not really comedy, it's more one-liners and such. But the problem I had is that towards the end, without spoiling anything, there is sort of a lot going on, big action set piece. It suffers from what I would sort of liken to Star Wars syndrome of too many things going on at the same time.
Okay. Now, for all the parents out there, like myself, before Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I sat down with the kids and we went through all the Marvel movies, went and seen The Winter Soldier. Is there any concerns for parents that might want to take kids to this?
Right. It's rated 12, obviously, because all the Marvel films so far have been. They've aimed for that. And it's a thing of that with that. Now, it's probably the Marvel film, I think, that has the most language in the film. No F words, but there is it's setting up that, but it doesn't actually go there. A lot of sort of the occasional... I mean, they're not breaking the 12A rules of having language, but they have a few of the B words and the S words.
Okay.
And so they have quite a few of them in at certain places. Some of them are for humour, so I think that's why it kind of gets away with it a bit. And it's not overly violent or overly graphic, but there are moments that younger audience members will possibly be a bit frightened of, because it's... I mean, I saw this was an IMAX presentation I saw, which IMAX is always very loud and very sort of a lot of pop to it. And this was present, obviously, this was definitely, you felt it. So... it's got that sort of that punch to it that some of the smaller kids might feel a bit sort of vulnerable at certain points. There isn't, I wouldn't say anything too graphic, but there is sort of some deaths in it where you have somebody basically holding a certain item that causes people to die, and it's very graphic in that kind of they just essentially explode. Okay. So that kind of level of thing. But I mean, it's not too much violence, not too much. There's not anything Transformer-ish about it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, because Transformers, I was actually going to take my kids to see Transformers, but there is a death scene in Transformers that, as an adult, I found quite disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of, I had that feeling there was a scene like that, kind of like very similar to that death in Transformers, right up to that point. But then at the actual moment of death, basically the body explodes, and so there's not a hold on it after that point. Yeah. But it is kind of a graphic, you kind of see the body start to vaporize essentially.
Okay. Okay, but overall, Andy, is it are you coming away from it as fulfilled as you hoped you would?
I am. I'm intending to definitely go see it again opening weekend. I really enjoyed it. As I say, it's not the strongest Marvel film, but it's by far not the weakest. I do think, as I say, because it's the most out there sci-fi movie of Marvel's, because it's all set in space apart from the opening on Earth. It's all set in sort of fantastic vistas. The special effects do look absolutely amazing. I could not fault a single special effect in the film. And the sequences are sort of a couple of chase sequences in space that are very nicely done. And it's very nicely done. It really kind of blew me away at some points. Visually stunning.
Okay. Do you think, are we going to get a sequel? If this is successful, does it open the doors for a sequel?
It does. It actually ends, even though we've seen the credits that have been sort of leaked online, it does have it right at the very end saying Guardians of the Galaxy will return. That is the very first words that appear on screen at the end of the film.
Oh, excellent. So it's definitely in line. Do you think is this going to be a hit? Do you think will audiences take to this?
I think it will, because it's come out very luckily at the time that's been released, because we haven't really had any big science fiction blockbusters this year. We were supposed to have the Wachowskis. I forgot the name of it now. Can't think of the name. The one with
Channing Tatum.
Tatum, yeah. Jupiter Ascending.
Right, Ascending, yeah.
Was supposed to release, and that got pushed back to next year. I suspect, this isn't confirmed, but I suspect because of reshoots needed. And the thing is with that was the only other big sort of sci-fi. I mean, I know Transformers, but sci-fi is in space-faring sort of science fiction. So Guardians of the Galaxy is the only film that I can think of this year that's that kind of big science fiction space. We don't have TV shows like that. We don't currently have a Star Trek series on television or anything to that degree of space-faring science fiction show. We don't have any other film franchises or anything big sort of effects thing like that will be a draw, but also be a fun action film. So I think it's kind of come out at the right time that audiences who may not be sure, but who like their sci-fi will go, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And then they'll find that they'll probably enjoy it, and then they'll be looking forwards to a future appearance.
Well, Andy, listen, I know I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this. Thank you very much for coming on the show. So that's us really until Avengers next year. Is this enough to tide you over?
It is. I'm kind of looking forward. I obviously got Captain America has been released on DVD and Blu-ray in a couple of weeks. Or sorry, 3 weeks, I think it is.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think it's the same day, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, I mean, a couple of things to tie in here is I did note some things in there. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there was a storyline involving something to do with an alien at some point that a lot of people will know of. This confirms the identity race-wise of that alien.
Okay.
Because there are certain sequences in it you can see, and it's explained pretty much early on. If you put 2 and 2 together, then it explains and confirms certain things that you've seen in that. There is also, as well, because it does revolve around the whole thing of Infinity Gems and Infinity Stones. And this is probably the first film of the entire Marvel series that has really explained that. It has a big sort of exposition sequence that explains about the Infinity Stones. So it's definitely setting up that knowledge for people, I think, for Age of Ultron and the future.
Excellent. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Right, Andy, now, we did this with Stuart anyway, but for anybody that's listening to the show that wants to check out yourself and Stuart's podcast, where's the best place to get you?
MondayMovieShow.co.uk.
And on Twitter?
It's at Monday Movie Show. You can reach myself at AHDVD. Stuart's on there at Cryptic Tadpole.
Okay. Listen, Andy, thank you very much for coming on the show and telling us your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy. I know I, for one, am really, really excited to see it, and I'm pretty sure anybody who's listening to the show will be as well. Listen, we'll have you back on again soon, sir. Take care.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Andy. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Well, there you go. It doesn't get much more glowing than that.
I'm convinced.
I'm convinced.
I think this is going to be an amazing movie.
Yep.
And I like what he's saying as well about, Rocket and Groot being the big sellers this Christmas. So, yeah, definitely. I think that I'm kind of envisioning this being the new sort of Buzz Lightyear or Furby sort of thing now, where everybody needs a Rocket Raccoon.
I know, I want to go out now and buy a Rocket and Groot.
I have a Rocket and Groot too. I have the Marvel Legends line that I picked up a few weeks ago with the Build-A-Groot sort of line. So I'm so happy I picked those up.
Yeah, no, I think I need to go out and get a Rocket and Groot.
Hi, this is Ashley Eckstein, voice of Ahsoka Tano on Star Wars The Clone Wars, and I follow the nerd.
Listen, big news. Saxon, you're a bit of a Doctor Who fan. You've been known to dabble.
Tiny bit.
Couple of big things this week for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The first one was, I'm sure you've seen this as well, the lovely little nod from the season finale this year to the invasion.
Yes, with the Cybermen
episode
in London in front of, what is the building?
St. Paul's Cathedral.
In front of St. Paul's Cathedral, yes.
Which is, I know, on one hand you could say it's a bit hammy, it's a bit obvious, but on the other hand it's kind of cool.
It is, yeah.
It is kind of cool.
Do you think they'll reference that in the actual show?
I don't know.
You'll have Capaldi turn around and go, wait a minute, this has happened before.
Yeah, this all seems very familiar. Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you if you had any idea how this fits into the story.
Not a clue.
Is this meant to be a throwback to what has happened before? Is it just a coincidence? Will it, just play out?
It genuinely could be any one of those things. Maybe it's a nice little nod to the fans. Maybe it's our Cyberman invasion, like we haven't had those before, where the Cybermen they just happen to be in London. They just happen to be walking down the steps in front of St. Paul's.
Just happen to be.
They're just
yeah.
Having a wee dander.
I noticed from it that it's the Cybus you call it?
No, that's where you're getting it wrong, you see, because that shot from the invasion was recreated in 2010, back when the Cybermen were the Cybermen.
Right.
That's that picture you're thinking of.
Right.
But the actual Cybermen on set that day were the new ones from Nightmare in Silver.
Right. Oh, that was the one done for the live show, was it?
That's correct, yes.
Right, so...
the live experience thing, whatever it was.
But so the new Cybermen then, it's the Cybermen, oh god, the horrible ones that can run at light speed.
That's the ones. But I think they'll be drastically scaled back for...
not run at light speed.
No.
That was
I don't think they'll have arc reactors.
Yeah, so that was a nice nod. Now, the other big news, talk to us about the other big news.
That big moth's back.
Yeah, I know. At least he didn't drop my screen and nearly caused me to have a heart
attack. Hear him banging into the lights.
Excuse me, we're doing a show here.
Yeah, get out. Out the door, boy.
Out the door, boy.
Out the door, boy.
Right.
Anyway, back to
you
reality.
Take the man out of Belfast, huh? Anyway.
Lisburn, but whatever.
Yeah, but for everybody else, we'll just say Belfast.
Yeah. The man in Belfast Bay. You can't take Belfast out of man Bay.
Right, so what's the other big news?
The other big news, Bay, is some bloke, right?
Bay.
Some bloke, Bay. According to sources, Bay.
Your man, your boy, what do you call him?
Aye, what's his face? He's a good friend of my dad's. Peter Jackson, otherwise known as that bloke what did Lord of the Rings and such, is going to be directing Doctor Who. Now, this has been rumoured for quite some time now. Even back when Matt Smith was still the Doctor, he was championing Jackson to direct an episode of Doctor Who. And Peter Jackson is a major, major fan of Doctor Who as well. And everybody across the board has wanted him to direct. Now this has been confirmed that he will be directing the Series 9 two-part finale. Now that's not this year, this is Series 8. Next year, 2015, Series 9, sorry to get it correct, he will be directing the two-part series finale. Now, this is intriguing as well because Steve Moffat came out, I think it was last month, it was 4 or 5 weeks ago, and said that he's just come up with a real belter of an episode, a real cliffhanger for the end of Series 9. It's going to be big, it's going to be grandiose, it's going to be a game changer, it's going to be all those buzzwords. And I genuinely think this is when the Doctor will find Gallifrey.
Now, just to clarify for anybody who's listening, that isn't the series that kicks off this August.
No, that's Series 8.
Next year.
Series 9 is 2015, Series 9, and that will be that finale. This year's finale, as we've just talked about, will involve the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Next year, it's going to be something big and grandiose, and I think this is when the Doctor will find Gallifrey. And who else better to direct it than Peter Jackson?
Now, personally, what I think is going to happen is that the first episode is going to be the whole contained story, and the second episode is just going to be 60 endings.
Oh, a million people have beat you to that already, Mark.
Really?
Yeah, that has just been all over the internet. I can't believe they're going to do an episode of Doctor Who that's going to be 3 hours long, and I can't wait for the DVD cut with the 15 hours of special behind the scenes making of footage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I genuinely didn't know other people had
that's
this
been
joke.
all over the board.
Right, okay. So that was pretty big news for Doctor Who fans. Are you excited about Peter Jackson directing it?
Yes, I am, because it shows just how popular the show is now, the pull it has now, that I can get someone like Peter Jackson. In all fairness, he is a Doctor Who fan. It's something that he wants to do, no matter how big of a director he is. He'd always make time for doing Doctor Who. And to be honest with you, I think it's quite exciting to watch an episode of Doctor Who which starts off with directed by Peter Jackson at the end of the credits. Okay. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Just to see that. It's so weird. And it'll bring an interesting visual dynamic to it, of course, as well.
Just moving on, because we are almost out of time. Moving on, your channel, your video channel, which is Vote Saxon 07.
That's the one.
You have had, your last 3 reviews have been Lego reviews, is that right?
They have, yes.
Tell us a bit about what you've been reviewing.
Well, I've been reviewing some awesome Lego stuff. First of all, we got some Lego blind bags, which we talked about on the last podcast, which have been given away now. We had 8 lucky winners, so congratulations to those guys. So reviews of all 16 of the Wave 1 of the Lego Simpsons blind bag minifigures is online now for your watching consumption. Next up, we had the Lego Ultra Agents Mission Headquarters set, which is a large truck and trailer which has firing missiles, and the trailer opens up to reveal the command center, and it has a tie-in app as well. An absolutely excellent set that my little second cousin is just exploding over as we speak. And also, what I just reviewed and what has just gone online is the Lego Star Wars Rebels Ghost and Phantom set, which is basically a 2-for-1 review of 2 sets, the Ghost and the Phantom, which is the big main new ship, the sort of Millennium Falcon for Star Wars Rebels, or the Twilight of Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
And the Phantom is the little sort of capsule little ship, like Serenity's little kind of side pods. It's kind of like that fits into the back of it.
That's exactly what I thought of whenever, because I haven't watched all of your review, but I've watched a few minutes of it, and I know you were playing some of it tonight before you came out. But that's what I thought of with the escape pods on the side, was the Serenity, the ship, the way that, Inara's ship just broke away from the side. Yeah. That's kind of what I thought of when I saw that.
Yeah, so they have those little side pods, and they have the Phantom at the back as well. So the 3.
Yeah, so... are these? Would you recommend these cool sets?
I would recommend these sets to anyone. I'd recommend these sets to people who haven't even heard of Lego before, which is highly impossible, and people who haven't heard of Star Wars Rebels before. And even this new Ultra Agent set, Like, this is something which is completely brand new by LEGO. They've done some agent stuff before, like, say, 2008 or so. But this is an entirely new sort of area for them to break into that's not based on any previously existing franchise. And I cannot stress this enough. This is excellent. This is LEGO at their best. And what makes it even better is the fact that this isn't anything to do with Marvel. This is nothing to do with DC. This is their own original product that they're bringing out. And this truck is the sort of thing that I yearned for as a child. This is the thing that would have been built as multicolored bits of bricks when I was 8 years old, and it would be only half as good as this.
Funny, when I watched your review, because I don't buy a lot of Lego now, you know the story. You get a bit older and you get kids and everything else, and you have to be very selective. And I pick up the odd Star Wars and the odd Marvel, but when I watched your review, all I could think of was that 10-year-old me would have killed to get his grubby little hands.
Yes, absolutely right.
You know. Because even my son, he's a Lego fan, but he mostly collects the Marvel stuff, and the what do you call those little monsters, little guys?
The Mixels.
The Mixels, he collects those, and the Simpsons ones. But like even he was like, I really want that now.
Yeah,
it looks really, really great, and it does, because it's just pure. It's what Lego's all about. It's just pure creation.
Yeah.
So no, I do like that as well. What do you make of this tumbler?
I think this is gorgeous. This is the Batman Dark Knight trilogy Batmobile tumbler,
September, I think it's coming out,
which has been announced, and my jaw hit the floor.
It's amazing,
my jaw crashed through the floor, hit the floor below, and crashed through that again. It's insane. I couldn't believe it, because I think it was you that tagged me in the image of it on Facebook. It looks unbelievable. Like, how many pieces?
1,900, I think it is.
1,900 pieces, close to 2,000 pieces.
I mean, the detail, until you really look closely, it just looks like a beautiful model of a tumbler.
It does. It does not look like it's made out of Lego. And the thing is, like, the interior's detailed as well. It even has the little Intimidate screen from the start of The Dark Knight. That's gorgeous. That's the attention to detail that we love as Lego fans.
What I can't work out, though, is the scale looks all wrong, because you get a minifigure of the Heath Ledger Joker and
the Batman,
Christian Bale Batman. But from what I can see,
they wouldn't
huge.
They wouldn't even amount to the size of the front wheel of the tumbler.
Yeah,
they are tiny little regular. I think it's just because they're exclusive minifigures.
Is it just?
Or well, the Joker's the exclusive minifigures. That's the first time that a Heath Ledger Joker has been made in minifigure form.
And that face doesn't look right on a Lego figure. Sure, it doesn't.
No, it looks so messed up. That's the stuff of nightmares.
Lego figure. But yeah, no, that's an amazing set. So I'm hoping to try and maybe pick that up.
Yeah.
Right. So listen, there was so much news that we didn't get through tonight, but we had 2 weeks of news to cover, so we did our best. I'm just gonna put this to you before we go. They're rebooting Tremors.
No.
Why?
No. You can't do that. There are certain movies, right?
I love the way you can't do.
But in all fairness, there are just movies that work, and they shouldn't have worked. There are certain time periods where movies are created that they could not have been created in any other time period. Gremlins, for example, could not be made today. I really don't think so, unless they do it the way they did it in the 80s with the practical effects and the puppetry. If they do it with CGI, they'll ruin it. Tremors is another example of this. It's schlock, it's nonsense, it's rubbish, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
You love it. Kevin Bacon, you love him in it. You love the effects, you love everything to do with it.
Because it's not about big, sleek CGI.
No, it's about
the characters and the dialogue. And
and then every now and then one of those little, like, kind of weird front tendril sections of it will burst through a basement wall.
Yeah.
And it's daft and it's rubbish and you love it.
I need to watch Tremors again. To me, Tremors is part of
the Graboids.
The Graboids is part of the trilogy. And that trilogy is Ghostbusters, Tremors, and Big Trouble in Little China.
Absolutely right.
That is the trilogy. Gremlins you could maybe force in there as a fourth. But to me, Ghostbusters, Tremors, and Big Trouble in Little China, that's a good night in.
They're quintessential 80s.
Yes.
In their ambition and their execution.
Yes, we're going to make this huge movie. We've got about £50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a sock puppet. that we've painted red.
One other thing quickly that we didn't get to is Spider-Man 3 and Sinister 6. This doesn't sound good, despite the recent uncertainty about the sequels and the spin-offs. The Amazing Spider-Man swings on. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Sony has scheduled Sinister 6 to be released on November 11th, 2016, and The Amazing Spider-Man 3 in 2018. The moving of Amazing Spider-Man from 2016 to 2018 likely means that the studio is trying to let audiences forget the critical flop and box office disappointment of Amazing Spider-Man 2 before the next one, set to be directed by the same director as the first two, Mark Webb. Sinister Six is the highly anticipated villain team-up and will be written by Drew Goddard and directed by him as well. President of Sony Pictures Entertainment Motion Picture Group, Doug Belgrade, said, with Sinister Six in the hands of writer-director Drew Goddard, we feel extremely confident placing the film on a prime date of 2016. Amazing Spider-Man wasn't that bad, too.
I liked it.
Bad.
I liked it. Now, what we reported on the other week about how the original script was,
yes,
I think would have been a much better movie. But I still liked what we got.
Yeah, I
can't see why so many people are putting this movie down.
Yeah. Now, I know it underperformed. It did underperform, but that was kind of a case of all your eggs in one basket. I don't think it was really the fault of the movie. What else? Ninja Turtles. There's been trailers. There's been 20 minutes. I am on board with this.
Let's see this movie.
This looks good.
Like, how long have we got now? 2 weeks until it's out?
Yeah, I think it's the first week.
Middle of August,
something like that.
It's middle of August.
Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty excited about it. One other thing we want to talk about. I know there's so many things that I want to talk about tonight. We will see if I can get it here. Where is it?
Of course, anything we don't talk about tonight is documented well and true on www.followingthenerd.com. So if you want to hear about any of the other stories that we didn't have time to report on tonight, go
True
there.
Enough. But this one we'll quickly go with. The Family Guy Simpsons episode is coming very soon. Now it seems that Matt Groening's other hit animated series, Futurama, is coming to Springfield. Well, we knew this already, but Simpsons producer Al Jean confirmed at the TV Critics Association at the weekend that the crossover will occur in The Simpsons in November, according to the rap. The episode will feature Futurama voice actors Billy West, John DiMaggio, Katie Siegel, Marsh LaMarche, Phil Lamar, Lauren Tom, and Tristan McNeil. On a slightly darker note, Jean also confirmed that a Simpsons character will die this season in an episode quite cryptically called
You got that in
Clown in the Dumps. I'm just going to say it. Are they going to kill Krusty?
Yes.
They're going to kill... He came pretty close before, didn't he, with the whole pacemaker thing?
Yeah, and an episode where he faked his own death by flying the plane into the mountain. Can this just end now? Can we end The Simpsons now? Like, it's almost like putting a wounded animal out of its misery. Like, because as much as you want to keep them around, it's time to pull the plug. Because when they're going so far to get ratings and they're completely out of ideas where they have to bring Futurama into it, bring Family Guy into it, kill off random characters left, right and centre just to get the view numbers up, it's time to call it a day, surely.
Yeah.
They've had 25 years, 10 of those have been decent, 10 of those have been excellent, 5 of those have been god-awful. Time to go.
That's fair.
Bring back Futurama. Why does Futurama keep getting cancelled?
Yeah. Power Rangers, the guys behind X-Men First Class are now going to be looking after Power Rangers, and it's not going to be a reboot, but they are going to take it quite seriously. Is there a good movie hiding in Power Rangers?
Possibly.
I know.
Stranger things have happened.
Anthony Hopkins has been approached about starring in a TV adaptation of Westworld as the guy that runs the park.
Really?
Yeah.
They're going to do a TV adaptation of Westworld?
Yeah, J.J. Abrams is going to look after it, so obviously it'll be
one season, yeah.
Penny Dreadful, we have an interesting piece on Penny Dreadful as well, talking about who the villain is in the second season. That's somebody that we have already met. Idris Elba is going to star in the Guy Ritchie movie King Arthur. He's going to be an older knight who trains Arthur in it.
Yay.
There was an extended trailer for Star Wars Rebels. Did you check that out?
Yeah, but then Fox blocked it in copyright grounds.
It looks great, doesn't it?
It really does look excellent.
I'm actually really excited for this now. It does look very, very good. Ninja Turtles again. Something that we didn't get to. Thor is now a woman in the comics.
Yeah.
Wow.
That difficult transitional period.
It happens, it does happen. Thor is now a woman. We have got a new Iron Man as well, a new Ultimate Iron Man. And the Falcon has now become Captain America. And there's a whole new Avengers lineup. I don't know. This is something I want to talk about as well. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. We do love The Rock, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Love him to bits.
Has been talking. He has confirmed that he is going to be in a DC movie.
Yeah, there's talks of him being Shazam.
Yes, because the hint that he gave was just say the word. And anybody who knows Shazam knows that the speaking of the word Shazam is what turns this little boy into basically a character on Superman's level of power.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it hasn't been confirmed that that's who he's going to be. I expect this to be announced at SDCC.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is going to get announced at SDCC.
Speaking of The Rock as well, are you going to go see Hercules?
Yeah.
It looks great, doesn't it?
The Rock as Hercules.
Did you see the photo that came out on Twitter the other day, where it was him on the set playing patty cake with a 2-year-old girl?
Amazing. I love The Rock. I have a man crush on The Rock because everything he does is cool.
Deservedly so.
And he seems like a really down-to-earth guy.
Even posting photos of himself in the 90s as a lesbian. Cool.
Akira is getting a reboot, an American live-action remake. It's almost happened before. Now it's going to happen again. Matt Reeves has confirmed to come back for the next Planet of the Apes. And he
tentatively titled War of the Planet of the Apes.
Is that right? I hadn't heard that. War of the Planet of the Apes. And he is saying that the story, we're still not going to see this far in the future destroyed world from the Charlton Heston movies. It's going to be set pretty soon after Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So we're going to get that story continued. Jeff Johns has confirmed that there will be no Arrow or Flash crossover with the Batman and Superman movies. But we knew this.
Yeah, it's a different universe.
Johns kind of runs DC now. He's very important.
Is he kind of like Kevin Feige?
He's kind of he's kind of the Kevin Feige character.
He's bizarre Kevin Feige.
Yeah, okay. But he has confirmed that crossover isn't going to happen, even though Stephen Amell, who plays Arrow, I think confirmed that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's been championing it though, but it's just not going to happen.
No, and deservedly, I love Arrow, but it's the wrong universe.
It's nonsense compared to the tone set by Man of Steel.
Boba Fett, apparently it has been confirmed that he is still alive in the Star Wars continuity.
And for 7, 8, and 9?
Yes, he will still be out there somewhere. Cool. Which leads a lot of people to think that he may actually appear in one of the spin-off movies, more so. But we that was sort of what we were told.
That's been thrown around there for a while
now. What else? Yeah, this spoiler about Star Wars Episode 7, that it opens with a hand, a disembodied hand floating through space holding a lightsaber.
Yeah. Imagine that.
And
right after the crawl.
Yeah,
and the text disappears,
down.
it pans down, and there's a hand gripping a lightsaber.
Now, it's meant to be Luke's hand. The rumour is that this is going to be Luke's hand. So I would imagine it's going to be his robot hand.
The robot hand,
I don't think it's going to be a gory bone sticking out of a...
That's not really Star Wars
hand.
style.
And we talked about this earlier on as well. Star Wars does have a strange fixation with lopping hands off.
Yeah.
I kind of... Apart from the whole idea of the hand going through the atmosphere and not burning up, and landed on the planet, I kind of can see that. What else? Yeah, one last thing. Mark Ruffalo is apparently in line to play Columbo.
Okay.
I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could take it or leave it.
You're not a fan of Columbo?
I could take it or leave it.
You can take it or leave it. Okay, there's an Overlook Hotel movie coming, a prequel to The Shining.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. No doubt it's going to be a prequel to Stanley Kubrick's movie and not King's book.
Yeah.
Which is a pity because there's a great sequel written to King's book, which we need to see. But anyway.
Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, Dr. Sleep is fantastic. Yeah. Let me see. Kevin Feige has confirmed that they own the rights to Namor, who's basically DC or to Marvel's Aquaman. But things are apparently quite complicated. Akiva Goldsman is writing a Space Invaders movie.
Good Lord, yay! And coming next summer, Asteroids.
Ian McDiarmid has confirmed he's not in Star Wars Episode 7.
Oh, really?
But he might...
Didn't his character die?
But he might pop up in one of the spin-offs.
Do you know what? Have you seen the Robot Chicken Star Wars Episode 3?
No.
It kind of focuses around Palpatine.
I might have done, I'm not sure.
And it's kind of like pretty much watch it, and then if they make a spin-off about Palpatine, like, you know, maybe the whole... what do you call him? Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Yeah.
Like, maybe we'll see that storyline?
I want to see that movie.
Kind of play out?
I want to see that movie. Super Ted's coming back.
Yay!
Obviously going to be sort of in the same vein
as Banana Man.
Yeah. The Uncharted movie will start filming in 2015. Have you played Uncharted?
No.
It's Indiana
Jones,
I'm not much of a
gamer.
No, it's kind of Indiana Jones.
I bought a PS4. It's still in the shrink wrap.
Oh, wow. That was money well spent.
Well, I got it for Grand Theft Auto coming out, and I didn't want it to be too expensive whenever Grand Theft Auto was released, because it's going to be around Christmas.
Okay, fair enough. Right, listen, I think that's pretty much everything covered. There's a lot of news that we didn't get to. But
do you know what's just crossed my mind? They're making Banana Man. They're making Super Ted. Do you reckon they'll start making all these heroes and then get them together to sort of like form a sort of comical Avengers?
That'd be great.
Super Ted and Banana Man and everyone kind of taking on bad guys.
And then they're all fighting Count Duckula.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be great. Just that one other thing as well, that the Wolfman and Dracula and the Mummy and all the Universal monsters, apparently Universal want to create see, this is the buzzword now, a shared universe.
Yeah.
Where all these creatures can interact with each other.
Yeah, it's like, stop copying everyone else's work, do your own thing.
Yeah, somebody do your own thing. That Marty McFly Hot Toys figure.
Oh, that broke my heart when I saw that today.
Oh my. Now, the only thing that actually got me more excited than that was Hot Toys Optimus Prime.
Yes, the G1
now,
Optimus Prime.
Let's just say those words all together again. Hot Toys Optimus Prime. Oh my. It's amazing.
Good.
It's just unfortunate it doesn't transform.
No.
But it is incredible.
Could you imagine if it could transform?
Be amazing. Be so good.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that was I got pictures of that as well. But yeah, so another busy couple of weeks. Right, Saxon, as always, thank you very much for coming on the show.
As always, a genuine pleasure.
For anyone out there who is listening, you can of course get us at any time on Facebook at facebook.com/followingnerd. You can get us on Twitter at nerdfollowing, and for all the latest news, reviews and interviews, go to followingthenerd.com. Saxon, before I go, where can they check out your Amazeballs video channel?
They can go to YouTube and they can type into the search bar Vote Saxon 07, VOTESAXON 07. We have the first review of the first piece of merchandise, technically from the Peter Capaldi run of episodes, but it's from The Day of the Doctor and the Time of the Doctor, the Dalek battleship, whatever it is, for the 3.75 inch scale figures, but it's in the Capaldi kind of yellow and blue packaging.
Okay.
So that's coming Sunday. And then that leads us into Series 10 of Toy Reviews.
Oh,
Series 10! Which will be kicking off with the Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel Select Build-A-Groot figure set.
Build-A-Groot. Okay, this is Shine 102.4 FM, and you have been following the nerd. I have been Mark.
I have been Saxon.
And in the great words of the late great Mr. Dave Allen, until next week,
don't forget to bring a sweater.
May your gods go with you. Good night, and we'll talk to you all very, very soon.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. If you'd like to listen in to the full show, you can stream it live every Thursday night from 9 PM UK time by clicking the link at the top of our website, followingthenerd.com. And as always, let us know your thoughts on all of our latest stories by sending us a tweet on Twitter at NerdFollowing and liking our Facebook page, facebook.com/followingthenerd. Thanks for listening, and until next time, farewell. Following the Nerd is produced and hosted by Mark Savage, with co-hosts Stephen McCullough, Jay Faulkner, and Paddy Ryan. Following the Nerd is edited by Stephen McCullough, with original music by Paul Morgan. This podcast is not endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited, 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers, Dark Horse Comics, Marvel, IDW, DC Comics, HBO, AMC, or any other company group unless expressly stated as such, and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Following the Nerd and the Following the Nerd logo are all rights and reserved worldwide. All of the trademarks are the property of their respective owners. Following the Nerd Online, the Following the Nerd logo, and all associated logos and designs are the intellectual property of Following the Nerd Limited. All music and recognizable features and all intellectual property related to these trademarks are likewise the intellectual property of Following the Nerd Limited. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Following the Nerd Limited, unless otherwise indicated.